What can I bore you guys with here today?
Frank Sin obviously had a very strong freshman season. How have you seen him develop over the summer and taking more of a leadership role?
Yeah, he's grown up. He's grown up a lot physically. He's grown up a lot mentally. He understands how difficult winning a game and being a good player, those two things, are now. It's a little different than what they think it is when they're seniors in high school. That doesn't make it a bad thing. It's just way of life. We all think that way. But he's grown up, and now my challenge with him, because it's a job that he wants. I'm not asking him to do it. Is he's got to learn how to manage leadership a little more consistently. His actions are good, but his voice has to be stronger when it comes to that. And that's, like I said, I'm not forcing him to do it. That's something that he wants, and he's asked by his actions to get help on, and we're trying to help him there.
Can he be a real rah-rah guy? Did you see that at any point last year during the timeout or in the locker room?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception out there, that the rah-rah guys are your leaders. Rah-rah guys don't lead. The guys that lead are where people aren't looking. That's who leads. When the coaches aren't in the locker room and the fans aren't in the stands, who's standing up and getting guys to do things? Sin does that. It's I was fortunate at K-State. I was around a couple guys that, Magruder, Poland, Kelly, Cologne, Clemente. Those guys weren't rah-rah guys. Those guys, when the staff was not in the locker room, those guys were fighting for our values and our way of doing things every day. And that's why those freshmen all learned and they got better. And then when it was their turn, they were able to continue it. We're starting to have that take place in our locker room.
Frank, we've talked a lot about you the past couple of years. You're getting the commitment in practice that you want from your front court players.
Yeah. They've been great. Limonis continues to be my problem child. Getting him to play up to the talent and capabilities that he has on a consistent basis. That he's way better than he was, and he'll tell you that himself. But he still has so much more to give on a more consistent basis, and I'm extremely happy with how hard he's worked and how much better he's gotten. But my challenge is still and I challenged our team to help me get more out of him. As teammates, I think that's the beauty of going through a season, is you learn about your teammates and you learn what they can do. And the way he played at the end of last season, I think showed his teammates that he's got it in him, and that when he does that, it makes us a better team. And so all of us together trying to figure out ways in our own different ways to get him to be more consistent, something that he needs for his future and his career and his personal goals, and we need as a team.
Frank, this is your third year in this league. How does this league battle the perception that it's Kentucky and Florida and Tennessee made a run, but everybody else is challenged to get
Pete,
to the NCAA?
I'm glad you asked, because I kind of, driving up here, I kind of wrote myself a little note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coaches in this league have coached teams to the elite, to the round of 32, or won national championships. I think it's a little insulting when you continue to tell coaches that have that on their side that their teams and their league isn't any good. We've got a lot of guys that have had a lot of success, not just in this league, but in other leagues, and have had a lot of success in this league. When you're like me, I think Kevin Stallings is as good a coach as there is in the country, and that's something that keeps being repeated over and over by not me, but people that actually know what they're talking about. And his team goes 500, and they say his team's no good because his league's no good. Really? That doesn't make much sense to me. Kentucky plays for national championship. They lost 5, 6 league games last year. They played for the national championship. You know, there were other teams that were in other conferences that were applauded because they won games in leagues that, in my opinion, weren't very good. Yet the team that plays for the national championship, you know, they lose 6 or whatever they lost in league play, and they're not very good. Can you believe Kentucky didn't get into the tournament 2 years ago and got in last year? What'd they get in with, an 8 and 9 seed as a second-seeded team in the SEC? Come on. Well, I'm glad that Cal and his guys did what they did. Florida did what they did. You know, Tennessee lost 6, 7 games, yet they're a minute from us having 3 teams in the Final Four. That's a story that I don't care who doesn't like it. That's a story that's getting real old in my eyes. It makes no sense, and it's disrespectful. Forget me. It's disrespectful to the coaches in this league that work their tails off and have proven that they know what they're doing.
Coach, interested in your take on Coach Tyndall. I know that you guys know each other from the years, so just how does he fit in the league? What's your relationship with him like?
I can't tell you the stories between he and I.
Just not
I can't tell you those, or he and I going to go back to working summer camps in the summer and not coaching in summer camps. It's, you know, it's funny. Billy Donovan got hired at Florida, and in his first summer camp that he ran at the University of Florida, my associate head coach, Matt Figger, I met him there. Donnie Tyndall, I met him there. Obviously, Anthony Grant's the assistant. He's there, and Anthony and I had a lifelong relationship. And Billy. And here we are 17, 18 years later, and we're all in the same league. You know, Billy's still winning, you know, and that's what's fun for me is I remember being, and just like Donnie, I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing, and my assistant will tell you the same thing, and Anthony will tell you the same thing. We remember that summer where they'd just taken over, and Florida wasn't very good, and we remember Billy's energy and his vision, and Anthony, and we all went there to work that camp, and heck, here we are 18 years later, and all that vision and enthusiasm that you saw from Billy became reality. That helps me because I remember where he was at and where that program was at and where it's at now. That gives me the peace of mind and the enthusiasm that we can do it also. And Donnie's got that challenge.
He's been described as a grinder. You know, is that kind of how would you describe him as a coach, having known him for a long time?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay.
I really don't like that because that's what people say about me. And, you know, since you don't have a great pedigree as a player and you don't play in the NBA, and, you know, that makes you a grinder. What's that mean? We're not as intelligent as the next guy? You know, life's about working. Life's about maximizing who you are. Life's about giving back to people. I think that's what Donnie does. You know, that's what I try to do. You know that. I don't know. There's a word in the vocabulary that I despise, and that's overachieve. If you overachieve, that means that, heck, the only ones that's overachieved in this room are us that got married. You know, it's overachieving is what we all should do. Now you underachieve. That's if you don't do what you're supposed to do every day. But Donnie works. That's, you know, he's not scared to work, and that's why he's gotten to where he's at right now.
Thanks.
Frank, we were talking to Sean Farman this morning. He said that, going off Pete's question.
Was he awake?
Yeah, he was. He said he was too excited from your practice yesterday.
Yeah, but he might still be on that West Coast time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But he said that it's going to be really important to get some of those, non-conference wins in November, December to continue to rise the SEC back up. How do you look at that, not from just your standpoint, from the league as well?
Yeah, for our program, you know, we went out and played all these people on the road last year. Now we get them at home. And we went out and played them with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. Now we're a little bit older, and it's important for our program. Obviously, from a league standpoint, you want to win those games. You know, but, you know, Tennessee beat Virginia last year like a drum. That didn't help them or our league. You know, Arkansas beat Northwestern. I can't remember who else, Baylor or someone like that. You know, no one ever brought that up for our league, and that's what, you know, makes me uncomfortable with this whole voice out there about our conference that we don't do enough, we don't win enough, we're not good enough. I don't know. People are right. They can have their opinion. I don't lose sleep over it. It's just, it bothers me that there's coaches that have had the amount of success that I just read off, and they don't say that about other teams in other leagues when they have turnover and new coaches in their league. Why do they say that about this league? I don't understand. But we, for our team, we've got a great opportunity with having some games at home, high level games at home. You got to have that to build a program. You got to have that to get people to believe in your program. You know, because at the end of the day, if you don't win the conference tournament, you're hoping to persuade people. It's like a boxing match. You're hoping that the crowd can clap all they want. You're hoping that the three people that are ringside with the little computer where they hit that little button, that they hit it enough in your favor where you can have a decision to keep playing in March. But it's, you know, you want people, when you enter conference play, you want to be relevant in people's minds. So you got to play a real good non-conference schedule, and you got to win. To get to the NCAA tournament, Bob Huggins, our first year at Kansas State, we were all frustrated, and he was too. And when he was interviewed after us getting left out, he said, we didn't win enough. At the end of the day, if you win enough, you're fine. You got to schedule the right way, win games, and everything will take care of itself.
Dan Bradshaw said that, you know, he used you as an example of one of those teams that's laying the foundation the right way for the SEC to get back to the 5 to 7 wins. You know, do you think that's a lot about that the SEC finally getting the leadership, getting some upperclassmen of some of these other schools as well?
Who said that? I need to go hug that guy.
Dan Bradshaw.
Yeah, I think if you get suckered into trying to change something overnight, you can end up in a dead-end street. You know, and I use our example of Kansas State all the time. My first year, we had 9 freshmen. We had 2 first-round picks. It's the worst record we had in my 5 years there, with 2 NBA guys. The other 4 years, we didn't have a player drafted, didn't have a player make it in the NBA, yet we were better. We weren't better because we had better individual talent. And that first year, we weren't bad because we had selfish guys. We were all freshmen, and we were trying to build a culture, a foundation. Obviously, Beasley and Walker gave us that talent that got us to 21 wins that first year, whatever it was, because they were superior talent. But the culture that we fought for to build that year allowed us to have success the following year, and then eventually create the strength that allowed us to have a successful program. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm not, you know, we didn't have the 2 first-round picks my first year to figure out a way to win 20 games on talent. But now we've created a culture in that locker room that I'm hoping attracts more guys, because here's the deal: us coaches get too much credit for recruiting and too much credit for the good and bad in recruiting. We do the same thing that every other coach in America does. We spend countless hours on the phone. We spend countless hours in gyms. We're engaging. We try to sell our great university. At the end of the day, the people that sell your program are the players in that locker room. And I think we've built a locker room that takes pride in how we do things and who we are. That's going to help us in recruiting. And so as you continue to recruit and your culture is in place and try and recruit a couple guys that you know, you're always trying to get better. You know, you're not trying to stay the same or get worse. You're trying to get better. So as you recruit, you keep finding guys that fit your culture, that fit what you want to be about. But hopefully they're a little more talented than the guys before. You know, and then you got a chance. You got a chance. That's why I think Kentucky's so good this year, because Cal finally, for the first time since they won the national championship, you know, he's got returning players, and that's such an important part.
Frank, your first year, you lost 5 of your last 6 games, and last year you made the run to the quarterfinals. Have you seen any leftover effects from that run in terms of how the guys have come into this season, maybe a little added energy after the way you finished off last year?
Yeah, that's how you finish the season carries over to your off season, and that enthusiasm that we had got guys excited about continuing to work. Now, the great thing about them is that, you know, we didn't sit around and say, well, we won some games at the end of the year, so we got to figure it out. No, at the end of the day, our guys understood that what we did was great. It still wasn't good enough. We got to learn how to work more efficiently, how to get a little smarter in what we do. We got to get older. We got stronger, you know, and they approached it that way. And the off season was great, and it's carried over into our preseason practices. I think how you finish years definitely carries into your off season, which then is what builds on whether or not. If your players don't get better, your team's not going to be better, and that's important. That you know that guys work the right way in the off season, so individually they improve.
You talked about Kentucky and having returning players.